Hello there, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. If you're a return subscriber, thank you for always tuning in, and if you're new here, you're welcome. Feel comfortable to learn any styles of your choice. So I'll be making tutorial on how to make these shorts. As you can see on the screen, these shorts you can wear it as a sleepwear or any kind of short of your choice with elastic band. So if you haven't subscribed to this channel, kindly please do so, subscribe and like this video. So yeah, I'm just trying to make sure I have the actual measurements before starting up with the front panel. Here is the front panel now. I'll cut it as you can see me doing. Here I have the front panel folded into two. This is the tie measurements, and then you had extra sewing allowance like 2 to 4 inches, depends on how bogus you want your short to be. So I'll go down now by 1.5 inches for the elastic casing. You can go down if you want it to be very wide, which is the elastic casing, but in the case of this fabric I'm having, so I'm going to be using a very small elastic. So from this line you go down by your hip measurement, so this automatically is your waistline now, from the upper side to that 1.5 inches. So you go down by your hip from your waistline. The vertical line for your hip is should be 8 to 9 inches, depends on how tall you are. So I'll go with 8 inches, and then for the crush line is from your waistline downwards to your, to your boots, to underneath your boots, or your, and that is your crush line. So I'll be using, if you're making a normal trouser, it should be 2 inches, but just in case of this, in the case of this tutorial, I'll be using 3 inches because I want that area to be free. This is like a play suit where you wear and you'll be free at night, so you don't want it to be tight, you don't want it to be sniffing you underneath over there. So now I'll add 3 inches, making it 11 inches from the waistline. So I'll be outlining this now using my pattern master, as you can see me doing. So I'll do that quickly and then I'll proceed to the round measurement. So to get your round measurement is just your waist circumference, your hip circumference, and also your thigh circumference. So now I'll take from the waistline. We're using elastic band for this tutorial, so you'll be taking your hip measurement on the waistline. My hip measurement is 42 inches, so that is 10.5 inches. I'll outline that and then I'll add extra 1.5 inches, making it 12 inches. I'll do likewise to the hip line. I'll take it downwards and then I'll take 10.5 inches, and then I'll add 1.5 inches as a sewing allowance. So this area here will be just 1 inch sewing allowance, so I'll be transferring half of an inch from the 1.5 inches sewing allowance. I'll transfer the half of an inch to this side, as you can see me doing using my pattern master. So I'll just use this as the side seam for the sewing allowance for the side seam. So meaning I have 1 inches in excess for the center part, and for the side I have half of an inch, making it all 1.5 inches. I hope you get and understand what I did there. So now on the crush line, now what I would do, dividing your crush, which is your thigh measurement, into two, and then you add extra additional 2 inches to it. Aside this half of an inch, you add extra 2 inches to it, making it 2.5 inches, half of an inch on the side seam, and 2 inches for the crush depth. I hope you understand what this is, the connection from your hip line across to your crush depth. So I'll add it now. That is everything I'm having there is enough. So that is why I said you'll be adding inches before cutting this out. So now just connect it back to the 12 inches line. You can see that on the folded part, this will be the down parts of the shorts I am making. So now I'll be connecting it using my pattern master from the hip line downwards to the crush line, as you can see me doing. So I'll connect it from the crush line now to the closing of this short, which is from that place is just 2 inches downwards. You can go as far as down, lower than this, depends on the fabric you're using. So this length I'm using is not more than 18 inches for everything. So by the time I'm done sewing, it will not be more than 15 to 16 inches. I hope you all understand what I just did here. So I'm just trying to connect it properly, giving it another half of an inch for sewing allowance for that, for this crush line. You can see how I am doing that. So just to make it look relaxing, because it will be bogus at the end of the day. So you can see now I have excess allowance, so that will be for the sewing, and then the allowance I added, which is the 1 inches, will just be for the ease. So you can see how easy that is. So that's the front panel now. So now I'll be placing this on another folded fabric. Doing that, you go down from the side seam to the cross line. You go down, connecting it with your pattern master by half of an inch, because remember this is actually the front panel, so this is what is needed, so it is well seated on the front side of your, when you're wearing it on the front side, this is how it should be. So your tummy will be, it will be well relaxed on your tummy area. So I'll place this now on the folded fabric, which is going to be for the back panel. This back panel, I have excess on both sides. As you can see on the waistline, I have 1 inches in excess. On this part, I have 1.5 inches in excess. So you have to connect this downwards, upwards to the waistline. On the waistline, I have in excess of 1 inches, like I said earlier. So you connect it to the hip line, as you can see me doing. So the leg part, you connect it to this particular part. You can see the way I'm curving it. So on this side here, you just make a curvy like this, not so deep as the front panel is. So you connect it straight. You can see the upper side of this crush line, I have half of an inch in excess. On this part, I have 1.5 inches on the crush line. So you can see how the allowances is for the back panel. So that is it about the back panel. So for the side is always the same thing from the lower part, the hip line. So on the waistline, you connect 1 inches in excess, and then you connect it to the hip line. You can see the way it is. So 1 inches is in excess on the side seam from the back panel compared to the waist, for the compared to the front body. So you can see, and also on the upper side of the crush line, we have half of an inch difference from this panel, from the front panel. So I'll go now and sew it and come back and show you all how it is looking. You can see I'm almost done with it, so you can see how beautiful it is looking already. And what I did is I stitched it on both sides, one part of the front panel and the other side of the back panel. So you stitched all sides together before stitching the front crush, and then from the front crush, after taking it with half of an inch, like I said earlier, you take it downwards half of an inch, and then from the crushed front line which you've stitched, you start your measurements, and you take your hip line, your hip measurements, and you add extra ease, which is the 1 inches for the sewing allowance. So whatever it gives you, you stitch it and connect it to the back crush line, to underneath the crush line. You can see how this is, and again you can see the allowances I have in excess. So after doing that, you will now take the two legs, which is the closing part of this crush line. When I was done doing that is when I come here and I close it. So this is a slit from the side seam. You go down by 3 inches, and then before closing the main opening. So what I did, I'll just be explaining this again. You finish up with a crush, and then you switch it like so, and then you stitch from this one leg to the other side across the crush line before closing it up on the under part of your short. So now this excess, now I'll trim it off. I'll trim the excess off now, and then I'll show you how to go about with the waistline for the elastic band. So you can see how lovely this is looking on the right side of the short. So what you do, remember this is 1.5 inches for the elastic casing. For the elastic itself, you need 8 inches, and this you need 2 of these 8 inches. So I will be showing you all how to go about it. From this center seam, you go out on each side, both the back and the front panel On both sides, you go out by 4 inches. If you're working with plus size, you can use 5 inches thereabouts. If you're working with smaller size, you can use 3.5 inches. So I'll do that also to this back area also, as you can see me doing. So where you outline now, on every chalk you outline on the inside, which is the wrong side, you go in by 1 inches, and then you insert your elastic, you stitch it down like so. So I'll take the measurements now and do that so you can see it. You stitch this down, and then you turn in, you can see 1 inches, you end it where that 1 inches is, and then you fold it in like so. So the first thing, you stitch it and then you fold it in into two. You stitch it before folding it, and then you stretch it. You connect the other side of the elastic band to the front, like from the back to the front and from the other back to the front. You can see how I have done this. One side, I'm already done with one side. So what I did, you can see how it is. You pass the back elastic band across to the other side of the dart of the front. So you can see I already did the first, the one side, so this is the other side. So while you are stitching it, you make sure you stretch it, and then you don't stitch on your elastic band, so you stitch on your fabric. So that's all about it. You can see how lovely this is. This is the end result. This is 4 inches on both sides. You can see how lovely it is. I'll wear this now and show you the end result. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial as well as I enjoy making it for you guys. If you haven't subscribed, kindly please subscribe, like this video, comment below if you enjoy this, and if you also want me to make any video regarding any tutorial you want me to make, I'll do well to do that. And also turn your notification bell on, share this video with your loved ones. Until I see you again in the next one, guys. Bye.